Welcome back to Bells of Hell. This is segment 3 of our four-part show here on April 10th. It's Wednesday. Beautiful day here in Middle Tennessee. I want to get straight into our topic, and the main topic for today is gay marriage. I want to go on record, and I'm gonna state my opinion first on gay marriage, and then we'll discuss it and why I feel this way. I don't believe in gay marriages. I don't believe that a man should be married to a man, and I don't believe a woman should be married to a woman. I don't buy into that. You can't help who you love stuff, because love is a choice. If love wasn't a choice, then why wouldn't anybody just be in love with anybody? You know, it's hard to say if you want to get bring in Christianity into the fact. If love wasn't a choice, why do people choose not to love God? You know, that's a choice. You can help who you love and who you don't love. If that was the fact, then you wouldn't fall in love with more than once. You would just fall in love, and that would be it, because you can't help who you love. There wouldn't be divorces, and there wouldn't be breakups. And as soon as you met the person that you couldn't help that you loved, you would be with that person forever. You know, I mean, I understand that there's circumstances for divorce other than love, and I understand all that, but that's a very small percentage of why people get divorced anyway. But gay marriages, I'm going to say this, and it's going to sound like a joke to you, and in some ways it is kind of funny, but it leads to my point. The one thing I never understood about gay people, and how a man doesn't feel attracted to a woman, and so he prefers men. But the men that he goes after, more times than not, are very effeminate men, and they're probably pretty effeminate themselves, and vice versa. A gay woman, usually, unless they're on Showtime or in pornography, most of the time, gay women are pictured as the short, bobbed-haired, butch, for lack of a better term, butch-looking women, and they're attracted to either a very effeminate woman or another butch-looking woman, which would be more like a guy. So if you don't like men, why would you like to be with a woman that looks like a man? And if you're a man that doesn't like women, why would you want to be with a man that acts like a woman and sounds like a woman and talks like and walks like a woman? And I don't understand that. And it just, and I think, you know, when I first said that, I've said this over the years, but the more I started saying it, the more I started thinking about it. And it's like, why did gay people do that? Why do they claim not to like the opposite sex, but then try to be with someone that is acting like the opposite sex? And I think it comes down to a mental thing, and how confused our souls and spirits are in these days. And you say what you want and whatever, but it's kind of the prophetic words are coming true of what Ezekiel and all the Malachi and all them other, or whatever their names are in the Bible, kind of coming true, you know, and confusion and reprobate minds and everything to that nature. But getting off of that, it's always baffled me. So I guess I had the fortunate circumstances when I was in prison for a little while to be housed with a gay man. And he was a good cellie. He was a good guy. You know, the guy would do anything for you, and you know, without asking for anything in return. He was a good man, you know, so to speak. But he was very effeminate. And we talked about it, and I asked him some questions about gay people, because, you know, I'm from the country pretty much, and you know, we called them everything from fags to queers to whatever, and I wanted to understand him, because, you know, it's just like anything that I'm doing what I consider wrong in my life. I don't want people to think that it's me as a person, but more of the sinful nature in my life that causes me to do the things I did, like steal and whatnot. But I don't want them to think that that's all I'm about and that's all who I am. So to be fair, I one night when we were sitting in the cell and watching TV, I just asked, and I asked him about it, and of course he gave me you can't help who you love, and you can't help the way because he was made this way and this and that, which we just had to agree to disagree, because he claimed to be a God-fearing, God-loving man. And I don't believe that God, if you believe in God and have studied the Bible at all, that goes against the very basic principles of his nature. He wouldn't create a gay man or gay woman, because in Leviticus it tells us that it's an abomination. The man should not lie with a man as a woman. And, and I'm sure that the same goes for women. Just in those days, they didn't mention women too much. They talked mostly about men. Plus, women were more sensible than the men anyway. But so we talked about this at great lengths. And one thing that I realized, and one thing that had been my ignorance and stupidity over the years, was refusing to accept the fact that, these gay people are people. They're human beings. I may think that what they're doing is wrong, and anybody that can say, throw up the do not judge unless you be judged and all that, that's not talking about you shouldn't judge people's actions. You can't judge a man's heart, whether he loves Christ or not, and whether he's accepted Christ or not. But non-Christians that throw up don't judge and all that, it's not even talking about judging someone's actions. I can judge as to whether or not your actions of stealing the $1 million was wrong or not. Can I judge you as a person as to how good you are? Well, obviously not, because I just always thought that gay people were trash. Put them all on an island, blow them up with the blacks. That was my background growing up. And truth be told, I learned that black folks, while I was in prison, that there's a lot of good ones out there. And which was good for me to open my eyes. But then, of course, the same went for the gay folks. My cellie was a great example. I mean, the man owned restaurants, and his family owned restaurants in the Knoxville area, and he was a really good man. If you didn't have something, he'd give it to you and not ask for anything in return. There was nothing sexual about it. He had his little boyfriend and this and that, and that's a whole different topic, kind of a gross one too. But anyway, he would do anything for you. If him and his buddies were all cooking things, he would make sure you had some. If you didn't have any commissary, he'd make sure you had some. So it showed me as to what kind of heart he has. And I can judge you as a good character and be good at heart. And again, that goes back to the do not judge lest you be judged stuff. How would I know that he has a good heart if I didn't judge him and didn't judge his character? So, it's kind of funny how when we say good things about people, it's not being judgmental, but when we say bad things about them, it's being judgmental. And the fact of the matter is, you can judge things good or bad. And when it comes to gay marriages, I'm strictly against this. I tell you, number one, it's because of my Christian background, my Christian beliefs, growing up in the Church of the Nazarene and everything. And mainly studying the Bible, and even as I've gotten older, and studying that it's wrong as far as Christianity is wrong. My second reason why I don't agree with gay marriages is marriage is not an institution that was set forth by the United States of America. Marriages weren't created by governments. Marriage was not brought about by a civil leader saying, hey, if you want to be with that lady, you have to have one lady, and that's it, and you just be married to her. That's not how it is. Marriage is strictly a Christian ceremony and commitment. marriage is something not to be taken lightly. And I'm divorced, so I took it lightly and failed as a husband and a father, and hopefully one day we'll get a chance to make that up. But marriage is not to be taken lightly, but it was created by God. It was created in a Christian environment, and can't even say Christian. It was just created by God because it came long before the Christians ever came about. Christians are followers of Christ and accepted Christ. Those before Christ were men of God and women of God. But marriage is a Christian institution. It's a godly institution. It's a biblical institution set forth from the very first man and woman. And for you to use that is offensive to me as a Christian person. You have your rights to believe how you want to believe. And if you don't want to believe in God, or if you believe that it's okay, that God says it's okay to have gay marriages and this and that, that's your beliefs and your rights, and you have every entitlement to it because you've got free will just like I got. But you can't get offended by me being offended by what you're doing, because it's wrong. It's kind of like people coming to this country because it's such a great country, but then getting in here and suing everybody because they're not getting their way and they want to change things. Gay marriages is the same thing. If you want to get right down to it, my personal beliefs, marriage shouldn't even be recognized by the federal government, period. Because and I tread lightly on this because my stance on separation of church and state. Nobody has come forth yet to claim everything I own, and that offer still stands. If you can find the words separations of church and states in the Declaration of Independence, in the Constitution of the United States, any of the amendments, Bill of Rights, whatever, if you can find it, man, I'll give you everything I own. You have my word on that. I will give you everything I own. That's how confident I am that you will never find it. I'll put it in writing that I'll give everything you own. I got it on video. I will give you everything I own. It may not be a whole lot, but it's mine. So, you get a good Ford truck out of the deal. I'll give it to you. But I think it was a letter from Thomas Jefferson to a church that mentioned the word separations of church and state, and it was never instituted but the first, or is it the First Amendment? Whatever it is, it's not the First Amendment, but it pretty much states in the Constitution that the government shall not establish a religion in this country. And by recognizing marriages in this country, you're establishing a religion. That's just my personal belief. Because marriage is between a man and a woman, and it was based on biblical principles. Long before any of the other, you won't find it in Buddhism, you won't find it in Hinduism, and you won't find it in any of the other stuff. You will find it in the Christian faith, is what marriage is. So for you to say that you can have a gay marriage, you can't even, really, you shouldn't even be using the term marriage to me, because you call it a union, call it whatever, but you can't use the term marriage because that's a Christian biblical word that God came up with for Christians to be fruitful and multiply, to marry each other, have families, have faith. And when you to me, it's an abomination when you put and an oxymoron to put gay marriage together. I'm sure there's many fine gay people out there with great hearts that work hard and do whatever they got to do. But where does it stop? Where does it stop? If you can't help who you love, what's to stop me from falling in love with my dog Summit or my dog Daisy, and wanting to marry my dog? When does that stop? I couldn't help it. I love my dog. I love my goldfish. And you think that that's funny, and you think it's far-fetched, and you say, oh, well, you're just crazy. That'll never happen. Well, 50 years ago, they never thought that gay marriages would be a topic. They never thought that would be even in the realm of possibilities. But here we are. And if the federal government recognizes gay marriage The Christian community needs to stand up and take their word back. They need to stand up and they need to take marriage off the table where it's not even recognized by the federal government at all, even for heterosexual couples. And I feel that strongly about it. We get great benefits and this and that, but hey, if you're going to honor gay marriages, I said it yesterday, I'll say it today, I'm going to go get my buddy. We're going to go down and get a license. We're going to kiss in front of the justice of the peace. We're going to be married. We're going to be two totally straight heterosexual males. Maybe not even living in the same household, but we're going to be married, and we're going to enjoy the tax benefits of being married. And then we're going to go out and be with women because we like women and date women and whatever. But we'll just be married to each other on paper. And see, that's the kind of stuff that I think about that will go on. And financially, that'll ruin the country. That'll be it may not ruin it, but it'll be a big drag on the country. And so gay marriages may or may not agree with me, but I'll tell you, if we allow people that are gay to marry one another, then I believe that's going to start a rip in our society, along with the gun control issues and everything else that is just going to continue the downward spiral that our country is going in. Now, it can be saved. There's no doubt about it. We can stop it. And it's not a knock on gay people. I'm glad that at least you're loving people and not killing people. There are positives to it. And like I said, most of you are probably great people. I learned the hard way and was blessed and fortunate enough to be in a cell with someone for a few months that kind of opened my eyes that, you guys are people, And so we'll get more into that in segment 4 here in a little bit. So please make sure that you tune in to segment 4. I'm having a little trouble with my audio here. But we'll get more into that in segment 4, so be sure you tune into that. I'm Mark Hale, and this is Bells of Hell.